Hello, today I'm going to give you an update on my progress for my Make 9 list and show you what I've made in October. Now, one of my October makes has already made its way into the mending pile, and I'll tell you what I did in creating that garment that made it destined for the mending pile. But before I do, let me tell you what I'm wearing. This is an October make. This is the Mandy Boat Tee by Tessuti Fabrics. This is the second time I have made this t-shirt. I really love the pattern, love everything about it, except one thing. I love the oversized, boxy body of the shirt, the dropped shoulder with the fitted sleeve. Really love the style of that. What I was not so crazy about was how wide the neckline was. So as originally drafted, the Mandy boat comes here on me, the opening, and it shows my bra strap. There's no hiding it. I just was not comfortable with my bra strap showing. So I did some online research to see if anybody else has amended the pattern, how they did it, and I couldn't find anything. So I thought, right, let me just go look at the pattern and see if I can figure out how to bring in the neckline. I've brought in the neckline on other garments that are woven, and I thought I can do this. So let me show you what I did. So here's my front pattern piece. I sewed the size 4, and I knew that I wanted to bring it forward so that my opening would not be as wide. And I noticed that on all of the sizes, the distance from the edge of the front to the top point was the same. And I should have thought for a couple more beats, but I looked and thought, well, I'm just going to borrow the size 1 and keep the length of the size 4, and that'll make my opening smaller. Well, if you'll notice, the slope does change here. What I wound up with was a neck opening that was high and tight across my throat. It hit me here and was really pressing in tight and was just too uncomfortable to wear. This fabric that I used to make this version is a very inexpensive cotton spandex fabric. I actually bought this last year to make some leggings for my baby granddaughter. They went to Germany, and I thought, well, we'll just keep it in the stash till next year. I wanted to make the Mandy boat out of a striped fabric because I really like the look of how the stripes change direction. So I thought, well, I'll use this fabric for this practice version. It's not the best quality, so I decided that I would just unpick at the shoulder seam and only on the front turn under on itself the front. So I just turned it exactly under one turn and I stitched it down. So it did come down a little lower. It is a little more loose across my throat. And initially I thought, well, this is good. I can wear this. It was only ever going to be a very casual top due to the nature of the fabric being not the best quality. But I've decided it's just not working. It's still too snug across my throat. I think I'm going to turn this into some leggings for my granddaughter. She's actually going to be spending Christmas with us, so this will be perfect for some leggings that are going to be grown out of fairly quickly. And then I won't have this choking hazard on me. So speaking of taking a make for me and turning into something for my granddaughter, my next project was for #SewUpcycle22, a challenge run by Karen from Sew Little Time and Becky from Notes from the Sewing Room. So I took a dress that I was not wearing and turned it into the Brindille and Twig Harem Romper. This was the laundry day tee. It looks like it's been ravaged by a bunch of tigers. This is just a cotton jersey fabric, and it was not a good color for me. I made this during Frugal Frocks a couple years ago, and the color's just not right for me. I was using it as a pool cover-up and had since made a nicer pool cover-up that I liked better, so I wasn't wearing it. And that was perfect for using to try out a new pattern, new to me pattern. And I made the Harem Romper by Brindille and Twig. Now I have already sent this garment off to my granddaughter, and so I'll insert a photo somewhere, wherever there's room, of this romper. It turned out really cute, and it'll be good for them to try it on her and see, one, do they like the pattern? Is this easy for them to dress her, diaper change? And if they like it, then I can sew her another one or two in a heavier weight fabric that would be really snuggly for the wintertime. It is such a quick and easy sew. I even had those hot pink snaps in my stash that matched the tigers perfectly. So my next sewing make was an old favorite. I made the Southbank sweater dress by Nina Lee, and I will insert some footage of me wearing this. Charlie just got home and I'll get him to take some footage of me in this. This pattern is probably one of my most sewn patterns, second only to the Hudson pants. This is make number 5 from this pattern, so I definitely got my money's worth out of it. I've made 2 tops. This is my 3rd dress. What I did differently this time was I sized down to an 18, which is the size I should have sewn to begin with, according to my measurements. The fit is so much better now that it's not gigantically oversized. And I sewed it in this French terry. It's a lightweight French terry that I had in my stash. And I bought this French terry back when I didn't know as much about French terry. So I think I've had this for about 7 years. And it's already gone a little bit bobbly in wear. And I've worn it twice. So I don't know how long this is going to hold up, but it was a good choice for trying out a change in the pattern sizing, and it worked perfectly. So I used my rainbow thread in my serger. I did all of my sewing on my serger, and I installed a Kylie machine label. It says circa 2022. That's from last year's advent calendar. I'm super happy. I had enough of this fabric left over. I made a Brindille and Twig vintage sweatshirt for my granddaughter, which is also off in the mail to check for size. Before I start sewing up the holiday gifts, I want to make sure I've got the size right. I'll insert a photo here. I have seen this pattern so many times. Tamlin from Sewn on the Tyne loves this and makes it frequently for her son Taylor, and it really inspired me to give the pattern a try, and I love it. I agree with Tamlin. It is a little oversized, and it'll be interesting to see how it fits my granddaughter. I have a little bit of that fabric left, and it might be enough to make a sweatshirt for my youngest grandson, or perhaps it would be good for testing out the dog hoodie for my little dog Martin. Somebody or some doggy will get somewhere out of that fabric. So let me tell you about my October make that is in the mending pile, and it's all on me. I've talked about this on my channel already. This is my Tilly and the Buttons Cleo Pinafore that I made to wear to work. I work part-time at a sewing shop, and I thought this was too cute. I put a patch on from last year's Kylie Machine Advent calendar, and I used this snip fabric in cotton linen. Really like this. Now, where I went wrong and why it is in the mending pile is the other pinafore that I made. I got enamored with the rainbow thread against the black corduroy. I have worn that pinafore a ton, and I've had no issues with it. I have had issues with this on the second time I wore it to work. I split a seam. I was too enamored with seeing my rainbow thread that I finished all my edges with rainbow thread, pressed my seams open, and that left the seam really weak. I just top stitched on either side here and it split. So I have some unpicking to do. I need to unpick all this top stitching and then sew this closed. I may wind up unpicking the back as well, the facing, so that I can properly strengthen this seam. I have to give that a little thought. I've already trimmed my straps, and yeah, so I'm gonna give a little think about it, but I should have known better. Just because it worked out in the other pinafore to not quite follow the directions, I did think about it when I did it, and I did it anyway. I knew that I would be lifting and carrying and climbing and stooping and yes, even crawling in this pinafore. So I should have made sure my seams were sturdier. Lessons learned. So now let's talk about my Make 9 list. I've only checked off 4 of my 9 items from my Make 9 list, and I'm okay with that. I really can't continue to blame moving on why I don't have more items finished, because let's face it, I've sewn a lot of things that weren't on my list. So I can't use that as the reason, but I'm okay. I sew for pleasure as well as to fill out my wardrobe. So if I have items that move over to next year, that's okay with me. So what have I made? I have made 2 cuff tops by the assembly line. I have made 2 skirts. I had just put skirt on my list. I had thought I might make a Brumby. I've already made one of those, an A-line skirt or the So Liberated skirt, but I just left it open. I wanted to make a skirt that I would love, and I love the chalk and notch Evelyn skirt, and I've made 2. I also had on my list that I've checked off is the Jarrah sweater by Nielsen. I've made 2 for me and 1 for my sister. Love it. And the other item that I have crossed off my list is the Nikko top by True Bias. So that leaves the blouse by the Avid Seamstress. I have made 1 toile of this, and I do know that I need to make some adjustments. I needed to size down and do a full bust adjustment. The Friday Pattern Company Davenport dress, all I've done is cut out the pattern pieces. I don't know why I haven't started that, because I've been wanting that dress for some time. The Romey dress by Sew House 7. I have done the Remy raglan top and loved it. So it's very similar construction. I really should get onto that one because I think I'd get a lot of wear out of it. The Patina blouse by Friday Pattern Company, again, that's another one that I've really wanted to wear and I just haven't made it yet. And my final item was, it was a real toss-up. When I was making my list, I thought I would either make an item from the book Ahead of the Curve by Cashmere, or I would make a coat or a jacket. Now I have to say that I have found the book very helpful for fitting and I've used it several times. I'm very glad that I purchased it, but I have not been that inspired to sew any of the garments from the book. I might get more out of the lessons if I sewed those patterns, but I haven't really loved any enough to actually sew them. So I have gone with sewing a jacket or coat, and I have cut out all of my pieces for the Ilford jacket by the Friday Pattern Company, and I will be working on this over the next week. I'm going to do that as a little bit of a slow sew, mainly because it's still pretty hot here. Now I know it's eventually going to get cold here and I'm really going to enjoy wearing this jacket to work. I'm going to put on the pencil pocket, lots of pockets on the jacket, and I think it will be really helpful. But it does mean I need to think about some solid tops to go underneath because the fabric I've chosen is not one that's going to mix with every pattern. I should finish that jacket in the next week or so. So for November, I'm going to really be doubling down and concentrating on sewing gifts, in part to participate in the hashtag A Gift to November, which is a challenge being run by my good friend Adam from Adam Sews and Allison from Sew Like Dottie. All the challenge aside, I do like to give handmade gifts, and this is an opportunity to start working on them before December so that December can be a little bit more relaxed. So be looking for a lot of gift making content coming from me in the month of November. If you need some gift ideas, come see me this November. And if you would like to sew a quick, easy, economical, and green reusable microwave popcorn bag, check out my tutorial here.